Did you know that I release exclusive bonus episodes every Friday for my Patreon subscribers? Recent episodes have looked at important questions like what is a pronoun, and also how to make the perfect self-introduction. I've also looked at more interesting topics like what actually is a sport. This episode was inspired by my love of darts. And also, why did the royal family change their name to Windsor 100 years ago? If you're interested in listening to extra episodes, it's simple. Click the link in the description or search patreon.com/thinkinginenglish and sign up to any of the tiers. You can listen to the bonus episodes on Patreon, Spotify, any podcasting platform that accepts custom RSS feeds, and also on the Thinking in English blog. Prices start from £5 a month. Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast for intermediate to advanced level English learners. The United Kingdom has announced plans to ban certain types of e-cigarette and restrict the sale of other vaping products. Let's discuss some of the key terms surrounding vapes, look at why the UK is banning these products, and examine the debate around vapes in more detail. You can find the full transcript of this episode for free over on the Thinking in English blog. The link is in the description. Here is today's vocabulary list. Disposable. Disposable. Designed to be thrown away after use. For example, disposable vapes have become increasingly popular among young people. E-cigarette. E-cigarette. Electronic devices that heat a liquid to produce vapor, typically containing nicotine, and offering an alternative to traditional smoking. For example, many individuals turn to e-cigarettes as a less harmful alternative to traditional tobacco products. Inhale, exhale. To breathe in and out respectively. For example, vapors inhale vapor during the act of vaping and exhale it into the air. Vapor. Vapor. A substance in the air, usually a liquid. As in, the vapor produced by e-cigarettes is often less dense than the smoke from traditional cigarettes. Combustion. Combustion. The process of burning. For example, e-cigarettes operate without combustion, reducing the number of harmful chemicals released into the air. Addictive. Addictive. Causing a strong dependence on a substance, typically a drug like nicotine. For example, nicotine is known to be highly addictive. Regulation. Regulation. The process of controlling and managing an activity through rules and laws. For instance, governments worldwide are considering increased regulation of the vaping industry. The UK has announced a national ban on the sale of disposable vapes. The new law will also limit the flavours vapes can be sold in and force companies to use less appealing packaging. Over the past few years, the number of children and teenagers taking up vaping has grown rapidly. When I was back in the UK over the winter, I was shocked to see so many young people vaping. Vaping has become so popular that even in my small hometown, there is a dedicated vape shop selling different vaping liquids and devices. While vapes and e-cigarettes were originally marketed as a method to stop smoking, or a healthier alternative to smoking tobacco products, research is now showing that thousands of young people are starting vaping without ever smoking cigarettes. Today, I'm going to take a more detailed look into the UK's decision to ban the sale of certain vape products and the wider debate around the subject. I think this kind of episode is really useful for 3 reasons. It is an interesting current events topic, has lots of new vocabulary, and is a possible topic in the future for IELTS or other English proficiency exams. Let's start at the beginning. What is vaping? In traditional smoking, a person inhales the smoke caused by the burning of a tobacco leaf, usually in the form of a cigarette, cigar, pipe, or other similar device. Smoking tobacco delivers a rush of nicotine, a chemical that can make people feel positive and increase relaxation. At the same time, smoking tobacco also brings hundreds of other chemicals into the human body, some of which are poisonous and incredibly harmful. Vapes are often marketed as a healthier alternative to traditional smoking, as they deliver the same nicotine but without the other side products or smoke. Vape is a colloquial term for various different electronic smoking devices, including reusable e-cigarettes and disposable vapes. The word vape and the term vaping references the act of inhaling and exhaling, breathing in and breathing out, vapor produced by these electronic devices. Both vaping and smoking are associated with white clouds of smoke or vapor that users breathe in and out. However, these substances are actually very different. According to the dictionary definitions, smoke is emitted from a burning substance, and vapor is a substance suspended in the air that is usually a liquid, like water vapor. They are chemically very different. Many of the harmful chemicals associated with smoking are produced in the act of combustion, meaning burning. E-cigarettes and other reusable vapes tend to be battery-powered devices that heat a liquid, usually containing nicotine, flavorings, and other chemicals, to produce an inhalable vapor. Vapes can also be single-use and designed to be thrown out once the liquid is fully used. And vapes and vape liquids also come in a variety of flavors that go beyond traditional tobacco. So now that I've defined some of the key terms associated with vapes and vaping, I think it's time to take a look at what is happening in the United Kingdom. In January this year, the UK government announced plans to introduce new regulations on vaping products. Most importantly, there will be a nationwide ban on disposable vapes. Disposable vapes are often cheaper than pricier reusable e-cigarettes, and come in a wide variety of packages and flavours. This has largely appealed to younger people, especially children and teenagers in the UK. The UK has witnessed a concerning increase in the number of young people engaging in vaping. We don't currently know the long-term health impacts of vaping, which is particularly concerning. And the limited research on this subject and the potential risks associated with regular vaping have raised alarm among health experts. At the same time, the UK government is also concerned about the environmental impact of disposable vaping products. They are difficult to recycle due to a combination of metals and plastics, and they are often found discarded in litter. In addition to the ban on disposable vapes, the UK government aims to introduce several other measures to address the issue. The packaging of rechargeable devices will be redesigned to be plainer, reducing the appeal and attractiveness of these products. Cigarette packages in the UK are already free of branding, apart from disgusting images of the consequences of smoking. Stricter regulations will be imposed on where vapes are displayed in shops. They will be moved from shop counters to behind it. This aims to limit the disability and accessibility of vaping products. The idea is that people are less likely to buy something if they can't see it. The government also plans to increase fines for retailers found illegally selling vapes to individuals under the age of 18. I think a further discussion of the reasons why the UK is banning and regulating some forms of vape is important. The core reasons are due to health concerns and the issue of young people taking up vaping. There is an important question here. Is vaping dangerous? The answer is not straightforward. It really depends on what you compare it to. In comparison to cigarettes or other tobacco products, vaping is significantly less harmful to our lungs and bodies. The use of vapes is actually encouraged by doctors and health charities in many countries, but only as a method for quitting smoking. For example, Action on Smoking and Health, a UK charity, has stated that we do not support a ban on all or any products for adults due to their value in helping smokers to quit. As previously mentioned, vaping involves inhaling vapor rather than smoke, a substance without all of the dangerous products from burning tobacco. However, vapor isn't completely harmless. Its long-term effects are still unknown. According to doctors, the liquid used in vaping products often contains chemicals which could, potentially, cause damage to lungs, hearts, and brains. It's particularly important that people who don't currently smoke cigarettes are discouraged from starting smoking. While healthier than tobacco, vaping isn't healthy. It can also lead to nicotine addiction, which may push non-smokers towards starting smoking. And there is an issue in the UK of illegal vapes being widely available in convenience stores. These illegal or counterfeit products can contain unregulated chemicals, dangerous substances, and even drugs. Part of the reason the UK is banning vapes is due to health concerns. The other is young people vaping. Vaping is becoming increasingly common among British children and teenagers. It is now more common than smoking cigarettes, twice as common among children in fact. According to figures from the charity Action on Smoking and Health, 11% of people between the ages of 11 and 17 in the UK have tried vaping. In fact, 15% of 16-year-olds and 18% of 18-year-olds have also reported vaping. This means millions of young people in the UK are taking up the habit of vaping without ever smoking cigarettes first. The UK is not the only country to consider regulating vaping or vape products. In 2022, the US banned all products from the major e-cigarette company Juul. The reason for the ban was a lack of research and data on the long-term health consequences of the company's products. Like in the UK, the US was also concerned with high numbers of teenagers vaping. They first banned Juul from selling fruit-flavored vape liquids after a quarter of all US high schools reported using e-cigarette devices in 2019. New Zealand introduced a similar law to the UK last year, banning disposable vapes and most flavours. And Australia has ruled that vapes and e-cigarettes will only be available on prescription from a doctor or hospital. They are exclusively for people trying to quit smoking. According to the BBC, countries like South Korea and Brazil have very strict rules on vaping products and nicotine. However, many countries do not. Many countries do not have any laws, regulations, or even age limits on the sale of such products. Now we've looked at the key terms surrounding vaping, the reasons why the UK is introducing new laws, and the international regulations. Let's summarise the debate over banning or restricting e-cigarettes and vapes. Let's start with arguments in favour of banning or restricting vapes. Supporters of restrictions often talk about the alarming rise in vaping among teenagers, often attributing this rise to the accessibility and appeal of various vaping products. Interesting flavours and cheap disposable vapes are appealing to young people. There is a need to protect young people from nicotine addiction and the potential health risks of vaping. The reality is that while vaping is a healthier alternative to smoking tobacco products, the long-term consequences are still unknown. Until the effects are better understood, many people believe access to such products should be tightly controlled. But we do know how addictive nicotine can be. While originally designed as a way to stop smoking, there is a concern that young vapers will become addicted to nicotine and potentially form negative lifelong habits. Moreover, there is an environmental argument for banning disposable e-cigarettes and vapes. These products both contribute to increased litter and pose challenges for recycling due to their composition. Arguments against banning vapes. On the other hand, there are also convincing arguments for why vaping shouldn't be banned completely. One of the main arguments against bans revolves around harm reduction. Vaping, especially as an alternative to traditional smoking, can significantly reduce the health risks associated with burning tobacco. Researchers from King's College London have found that vaping, instead of smoking, significantly reduces exposure to chemicals that cause cancer, heart disease, and lung problems. Vapes are an excellent tool to help smokers stop smoking. In fact, in the UK, research has shown that nicotine vapes are the most effective method of quitting smoking, much better than chewing nicotine gum or using nicotine patches. There is also an argument around freedom of choice for adults. People argue that adults should have the freedom to make decisions about their own consumption habits, and responsible adults should not be restricted in accessing products that can actually help them. Others argue that instead of an outright ban on disposable vapes, regulations and restrictions would be much more effective. Imposing strict quality controls, age restrictions, and educational measures may be more effective. And finally, critics of stricter bans are sometimes concerned about the emergence of a black market. Getting rid of legal access, especially for people already addicted to the products, could drive customers towards unregulated and potentially dangerous alternatives. So here is today's final thought. Today we've looked at the question of banning or restricting vapes. We've discussed some of the key terms and vocabulary around the issue and looked at why the UK government is introducing new restrictions. I then summarised both sides of the debate. On the one hand, bans and regulations could protect young people, reduce nicotine addiction, prevent future health consequences, and help the environment. On the other hand, these products are very effective tools to help smokers stop smoking, are a healthier alternative to tobacco products, and there are concerns about black markets. But what do you think? What is your opinion on this issue? should vaping be banned? I'll put a poll on Spotify where you guys can vote your opinion. I'll put a few options there. And you can also leave a comment to give a more detailed opinion on this episode. Use the comment section on the Thinking in English blog or on Spotify, or if you're a Patreon subscriber over on Patreon and Discord, use those comment sections so that you can practice writing your opinion about what you've listened to. This is a great way of turning your passive listening into active English use. So I really recommend you to go and leave a comment, write a sentence about your ideas, your opinions on this issue. And if you want to write something longer, the blog is probably the best place to do that. Thank you all for listening today. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.